Hi, this is Tracy Fishko. I go to college in the city, and my mom said I should call you. My mom is marrying your dad.
Do you want to hang out? Do you know where Times Square is?
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Christy. This is William Bibiani. This is Alonzo Duralde. We're talking about Mistress America, the latest collaboration between Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. Tell us what it's about, please.
Yes, so Gerwig and Baumbach last collaborated on Frances Ha, which was my favorite film of 2013.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It's very cute.
Yeah, I adore that movie. This one is maybe not at that level, but still pretty terrific. Lola Kirk, who is the sister of Jemima Kirk from Girls, stars as a college freshman who is trying to get into the campus literary society, and she finds her muse in Gerwig's character, who is a bit of a hot mess, but in a charming and delightful way. Lola Kirk's mother and Greta Gerwig's father are supposed to be getting married over Thanksgiving, so the two of them meet and bond in New York, and Greta Gerwig's character doesn't realize that Lola's is taking notes. Take a look.
She lived exactly how a young woman should live, who wants to spend her youth well.
Must we document ourselves all the time? Must we?
She did everything and nothing.
You don't know what you're selling. No one will know how to buy it.
What are you selling?
So many things.
Being around her was like being in New York City.
I'm an autodidact. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
That word is one of the things I self-taught myself. People are always taking my ideas. My ex-friend and nemesis, Mamie Claire, stole my ideas and my fiance. And then she literally stole my cats.
You must seek out this Mamie Claire. Spirit says you have unfinished business with this woman.
You have to listen to Spirit.
The young one is right.
She's not that young. 10 to 12 years younger. We're contemporaries, okay?
What are you doing here? Who are these people? They're my friends.
The last time I saw you, you were hiding in the bushes, and then you started incoherently yelling at me and my husband about how we had ruined your life. And the time before that, you were throwing up at my wedding.
Are those my cats?
They'll love you. You're the good girl.
There's no cheating when you're 18. You should all be touching each other all the time.
They'll need you. They'll want you.
You're funny because you don't know you're funny.
I know I'm funny. There's nothing I don't know about myself. That's why I can't do therapy.
All right. Well, I've been here tonight.
So if Frances Ha was Noah Baumbach's French New Wave film, this is his screwball comedy, right? It's light on its feet, and it's really dense in terms of its dialogue and the snappy patter and the weird, daffy characters.
I feel like in the second half it turns into a French farce.
It is definitely a farce.
It all gets very confined, and it's just people walking in and out of rooms saying funny things and then leaving
one thing
again.
and walking out. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, why do you keep giving me alcohol? I'm pregnant. I don't understand.
I have to say, this movie has, I think the biggest laugh I have had in a movie this year, and I cannot explain it out of context.
Can you give us a hint?
Yeah, give us the gist of it.
It has something to do with female genital mutilation. That's the problem. It sounds horrible when I say it, but
really
in the
does.
movie,
I know what you're talking about.
funny line, and it's this random non sequitur that pops up, and I couldn't breathe. I was laughing.
You
so
gotta
hard.
tell me later on because I'm blanking on this.
Okay.
now.
It's the scene where they give notes.
Yes, when she gets notes for the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I know I'm a horrible person, but
I'm gonna back him up. In context, that is not as horrible as it sounds.
No.
It's actually very funny.
It's a very funny line. I love the characters. I love how Greta Gerwig is playing this woman who is all talk and all like a million big ideas and all this great stuff that she's going to do that is never going to quite ever happen. That she's not going to have the follow through. But the movie is sympathetic to her.
Oh yeah.
And it's also sympathetic to the college freshman, even though she's being kind of a jerk and a bit of a user. This is a compassionate film, but at the same time, it does invite us to find what's funny about these characters and what's funny about their interplay.
I thought this film, I look at this film, and like Frances Ha, I feel like Greta Gerwig, I'm not sure when we voted her in as like the standee for a generation, as like representing young adults who are on the cusp of maturity and still fighting against it.
Well, I think some people voted for Lena Dunham, but
Okay, well, then I'm glad we went with Gerwig. But the thing is, I feel like, whereas Frances Ha, you loved Frances Ha. I liked Frances Ha just fine. There was something that maybe hit a little too close to home. I feel like there's a lot of commentary on that idea of looking at someone as a representation.
Sure.
Lola Kirk is writing a story about, it's almost like The Great Gatsby in a way. She's writing a story about this person and she loves them in person, but in private she's judging her quite harshly. And yet Greta Gerwig is there giving a marvelous performance in which she actually breaks out of that mold. By the end of the film, she isn't just this flighty, funny, aren't we all a little bit like Greta Gerwig? Well, yeah, but we're all people, and she has feelings, and she gets to express them, and she really comes out as, I think, an even more interesting character than Frances Ha. Like, I actually prefer this one, if I had to pick.
But also, it pokes holes in the idea of what the it girl is. Because if you see who her character is, she's on the Fashion Society website. She teaches at Soul Cycle. I mean, she's an idea, but you know, she still can't help herself from being a fuck up and being a user, and you feel sorry for her toward the end.
Weirdly, I was thinking this might make a good double feature with Paper Towns.
I can see that.
Because both movies, the idea of this sort of like girl that's got it all together and that everybody sort of admires from the outside, and then you sort of find out what the real deal is, and that they're even more interesting as kind of flawed human beings.
What I think is interesting is that unlike Paper Towns, in Mistress America, we never really break out of Lola Kirk's narrative. It really is her telling the story, even literally, like, here's her story, and it's the narrator. And I feel like even at the end, even when Greta Gerwig is just like, no, I'm this, I'm all these things, it still ends with like a narrative comment about how, and we're all blah, and we're all thing. Like, we don't really learn. Like, there's a maturity gap that I think is very interesting that it's commenting on. And it's very funny too. I'm not just being prudish and film criticky. I really enjoy watching this movie.
And again, I think what I like about this movie is that even the characters that it is most goofing on, like the woman who stole Gerwig's ex, or the jealous girlfriend of the guy that Lola Kirk is sort of keeping on a string, even they, I think, aren't portrayed as mere caricatures. Like, they sort of are allowed their moments of humanity as well.
Also, I like the score. It's this very kind of 80s techno score, reminding me a lot of the music in Drive.
Yes. That's coming back. That whole sound. I love it.
It Follows does that too.
And I also like the costume design quite a bit. Everything Greta Gerwig wears, like, she's trying so hard to be taken seriously in like little, button-down blouses and in the right jacket for her business meeting, and it's all. Again, it's her facade. It's the idea of her, and she lives in some bizarre apartment. That's sort of a cool idea. She lives in a commercially zoned apartment in Times Square. And again, these all seem like manic pixie dream girl quirks, but she's so much more complicated than that, so much more interesting than that. So
I've known people who've lived in apartments like that, not in Times Square, but just like, this is supposed to be a business. We're living here. Don't tell anyone. We're showering. We're showering with the sink in the bathroom.
And there's like a nice stillness about Lola Kirk, right? Because Greta Gerwig has to be totally over the top and just larger than life, and Lola Kirk is sort of just taking it all in. And there's like a beautiful, placid nature to her face, and she's got great eyes and great cheekbones. So
she gets to be kind of grinchy towards the end, though. I like it. Like, she's sort of inspired by Greta Gerwig to become more outgoing and even a little bit more destructive to other people. And I think in a way that makes it. You could just have her just be the placid observer, but instead she's changing. I think that's fantastic.
But you also buy her as a writer in that she's taking everything in and observing and being very attentive to what's going on around her. So I like this movie a lot. I mean, so it's not, I didn't like it as much as the movie that was my favorite film of 2 years ago, but I like it a great deal. It is one of the funniest films I've seen this year. I totally recommend it.
Is a slight Noah Baumbach movie, but still very enjoyable.
Did you better or worse than While We're Young?
About the same.
Okay.
In terms of its analysis and examining of a certain generation, a certain idea of a certain kind of people in New York. They're very similar to me in that way.
Okay.
What do you think?
I like this one a little better, but I like them both.
That's his Woody Allen movie.
This is kind of, I mean, I was, when you were saying before about Frances Ha being his French New Wave film, I was thinking if Frances Ha is his Annie Hall, this is his Manhattan.
We could play this game all day.
Totally,
It's like SAT analogies around here. Okay, so what are your numbers then, fellas?
I give it a 9. I like this a lot.
I think I give it, like a 7.8. 7.8, yeah. It's damn good recommendation, just not my favorite film of the year.
It's a pretty good week, actually, though. I'll give it a 7.9. 8.3 is our average. It's really good. Bye.